We're back in the recording studio today, and I brought this cup of water down for you because I figure you're still working on your. I drank out of that, by the way, and among other things.
Yeah.
I wanted to take some time because this is directly related to the story I wanted to tell today about the goat hunt.
Yes.
So we've been back. It's the end of October, so you've been back about a month. Time to reflect. The film is out, so people listening can go check it out. But how have you been since you've been back?
Busy.
Yeah.
It's been chaotic. We did another mountain goat hunt right afterwards.
Why not?
Right afterwards. Chase shot a bear and a really big whitetail on the youth hunt. So now it's like kind of slowing down into normalcy of hunting season this year.
Yeah.
So
a lot of texting about bucks.
Yeah.
Between us and our group.
We've all had a lot of really good ones on camera that none of us have connected with yet.
We both botched it on two different occasions.
Did I botch one?
Remember you didn't take your memory?
Oh, yeah. That's not a botch. That's just
unfortunate.
Yeah, that's just like, that was the most helpless, miserable feeling. Yeah.
You climb up, your bow's still down.
I'm 2 sticks up, saddle's still on the ground.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So new set. I'm like, I bet he's bedding right here, like 50 yards away. I set up on him. I'm like, I'm gonna kill him tonight, and got 2 sticks up, and he was there. So.
Yeah, and mine, they came in behind me. I set up in the dark over a scrape unintentionally. I thought it was because there's like a group of scrapes, and I'm like, I'm gonna hunt it right after a rain, and right as it gets light, a buck comes in. I'm only 7-8 feet off the ground, like low, because that was all cover I had, and I looked down and like I could have peed on him, and I can't pee that far, but he was right there, you know.
The yaw's not quite there.
And so he's there, and then I'm like, oh man, I'm expecting it to come from this way. He came from this way. It's just whatever. About an hour later, I'm watching a doe and a couple muppets, as we call them now, and like a funky horned buck with like one antler that was going straight, and like I hear a crunch behind me, and sure enough, an even bigger, probably 130, 140 inch buck is again right in the same scrape, trying to scrape underneath my tree. So
see, I don't feel too bad for you.
No,
it was like
that was my
7 yards. You had your bow in the tree.
Yeah, it was there. I did have it up, and my saddle. Yeah, I was up.
OnX is the title sponsor of our podcast here at the Fair Chase, and it's a must-have app for all of us who love to explore the outdoors. Whether you're hunting or hiking or fly fishing, OnX gives you detailed, accurate maps right at your fingertips. With property boundaries, topographical features, and trail data, you'll always know where you are and where you're headed. You'll also likely be able to figure out where that big buck is headed to. Plus, their offline maps mean you're covered even in the most remote locations. OnX is the ultimate tool for outdoor navigation, making every adventure safer and more enjoyable. Download OnX today and explore with confidence.
That was comfortable too.
Should have figured that one out.
But it's been warm.
Last couple days.
Yep. Anyway, so we're talking goat. So film is out, but you want to walk through the hunt for people that are listening and give some extra details.
So we found out about this hunt like January, February this year. Got everything cemented. Talked with the outfitter quite a bit. It's in northwest BC, which is historically like really, really good goat hunting. So the best in the world, arguably.
Yeah.
If you look at all the records, I think 8 of the last 10 big goats came out of BC, specifically this area.
And we've been planning this since January.
Right.
And so, for people listening, like the films that we're putting out, I mean, we've got one that we're trying to get you on that we've been planning for over a year. Mm-hmm.
They take a lot of work.
They take a lot. There's a lot of, I think, people forget about that, how much time and effort goes into setting all the details up.
Yeah, and when I first started doing stuff like this, I kind of thought like, oh, this will be like the easy gateway into being able to do more hunts, and it's completely the opposite.
Yeah.
Like, it takes way more work. Like, maybe it'd just be easier to get another job for 3 months out of the year.
Work at a gas station.
But whatever. It's still fun. So we set this hunt up winter this year and had a lot of time to kind of talk with WTA and the outfitter directly and kind of get a good understanding of like what's a goal here.
Yeah.
And quickly realize that we've got a realistic chance of finding something really old, really special. So we kind of, with any hunt that you go on, you kind of draw this narrative in your head of how you want it to go or how you expect it to go. And like most of the time it doesn't work out like that. Even on some of these kind of bigger hunts, they don't really play out the way that you want them to. This one kind of did, which was weird.
Yeah.
This one kind of like read the script that we all kind of preemptively wrote in our head.
Perfect amount of days in, all things.
It was, I mean, getting in there, and even now it's kind of to be expected. We flew into Whitehorse, from Chicago to Vancouver to Whitehorse, and Air Canada has this history of not getting your gun there.
It's like 50%.
Yeah, it's like
baseball. That's great. Great batting average.
Less reliable than American Airlines, which is hard to do.
Yeah,
they're pretty rough. So we got there the first day. Our gun didn't show up. Jordan's, was it your tote? Didn't show up. Jordan's tote didn't show up, which is arguably more important than our gun.
Well,
that came later, that like mid-afternoon, evening. The people that picked us up from Whitehorse and brought us to our hotel, Rose and Paul, kind of work with WTA and with a bunch of different outfitters and help people get from the airport to hotel or landing strip if they're taking off that day. And Paul's like, oh yeah, I deal with these guys all the time. I'll talk to them. We'll get your guns here by tomorrow. And if they don't get them here by tomorrow, they have to pay to get them out to the bush with you, which is going to cost them $5 to $10 grand. So they were pretty motivated to get it to us, which I don't know how that whole relationship worked, because in my experience, airlines don't care about
at all
the demands, but they seem to care what Paul said. So kudos to him. He got us our gun and our tote. So we're a whole day and a half down on this 10-day hunt already in Whitehorse. So we're just kind of walking around, eating a bunch, kind of like packing, repacking.
How was Whitehorse?
Whitehorse was cool. It reminded me of Fairbanks if Fairbanks had like a stepbrother that didn't finish high school. Like,
got through 9th and a half grade.
There was some roughness about I don't want to call it roughness. There was some sadness about Whitehorse.
Yeah.
Obviously really cool parts of the town too, but a lot of drugs. Holy cow, a lot of drugs.
Did you pick up anything good there? No. Okay, just the standard. Yeah.
No, I was offered plenty. Yeah. So, but I mean, you can avoid it. The hotels are fine. The restaurants are good. Just a couple of drifters around there. So, yeah. But we got our stuff. Then we got kind of weathered out the next morning, so we got a little bit delayed with that. And then finally did end up going out, but we did have some weather to fly through. So
Your favorite?
We got on I'm not a big, I'm not good at flying. I suck at flying.
Yeah.
But it was a 206 Cessna, I want to say. So a decent sized bush plane that typically moves pretty quick. I think the ground speed on those is usually like 120 to 150 miles an hour, but we had such a headwind coming south that we were going like 60, 70 the whole time. So what should have been an hour and a half flight, hour and 40-minute flight, ended up being like 2.5, 2 hours and 40, and just beating the shit out of you the whole way.
Was it pretty at least?
It was. I mean, we got to see a lot of it. The flight back out of there was gorgeous, like completely different experience. But going in there was a lot of weather, so we had rain and socked in and stuff like that. You'd come over a valley and you'd see like a big river drain, and he'd be like, we're gonna get hit here because it's two converging wind currents, and sure enough, boom, and just buck you. Yeah, we got kind of used to that, but the part that I didn't get used to is as we're descending going into the camp, he's like, we have a valley that we usually fly through, and it's mountains on both sides, and we have to have an out in case we lose visibility in that valley because there's enough bends in it that you can't really see around the corner.
Yeah.
So he's like, if I need to take an out, we're going to take an out. And we got like 3/4 of the way through it and then just turned gray. And it's wall to wall on both sides. Like, you have to know where you're going. And these things don't have, it's VFR. It's all just visual navigation. So he's like, all right, we're pulling out, and push the pedal down and pick that thing straight up. And I've never felt like the G-force before.
Oh,
like,
dang.
that was all the blood going from your face down into your legs, and then he settles it back out, and it all just comes back up. But did not like it. We found another route around, put her down in the gravel barn, very close to where I think you guys met him to moose hunt.
Yep.
and we're off to the race from there. But yeah, flights, the bush flights, like I wish I was one of those guys that could really like appreciate it more and enjoy it, but I'm just freaking not. I'm just like, get me there and then get me out.
I can see the appeal of it for sure.
For sure.
But the whole time I'm just like, I'm just gripping, you know, I'm holding stuff like, I just want to be done. Man is not meant to fly.
And our pilot on the way in there was like this, he's probably in his 60s, German dude who's had a ridiculous amount of flight hours. So like nothing phases this dude. He's not like trying to keep it comfortable. He's just booking through.
Yeah.
So, which that's the guy you want to fly with, right?
Yeah.
Is a dude like that, but doesn't make it any more comfortable in the moment.
No. And so going in, you flew in, you know, you're going to a spot. Did you know if you'd be taking a boat or if horses or anything like that at that point?
So our plans kind of got flopped around a little bit early on. We told John, the outfitter, like most of the guys when they do, I don't want to say most of the guys, but a lot of guys that do this hunt, it's expensive. So they're older than us, and that's like their point of life where they can afford something like that.
Yeah.
So I called them early and like, hey, I'm in pretty good shape. I do a lot of hunts like this. If you have a spot that you want to get into that you typically can't with normal clientele, we'd love to have something like that.
Yeah.
And he didn't say a whole lot about it. He just kind of acknowledged it, and then that was it. So
standard.
Yeah, basically landed the plane, popped out, and he's like, hope you can write that check that you or cash that check that you wrote. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you said you wanted a hard one, here you go. I'm like, all right. So we were gonna get on another plane after that, fly up to a lake, and then start our hike from there.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly what switched. I know us being late put another guy there, but afterwards he said, I kind of had this spot in mind for you guys the whole time based off of what you said.
Quick shout out to another amazing sponsor of ours, Kifaru International. If you're like us and love hunting in some of the toughest places, you know how crucial having the right gear is. Kifaru makes some of the toughest, most reliable backpacks and tents out there, and it's all made right here in America. Whether you're hunting in the backcountry or headed to your favorite deer stand, Kifaru has you covered. Keep your eyes out this year, especially as they're launching a ton of amazing new products like the new Arc frame that just came out. So next time you gear up for an adventure, make sure to check out Kifaru International.
So rather than having a secondary flight, we hopped on a boat, went upriver, and started from a really low elevation, going up through like Devil's Club and brush and stuff, up in this big gorge where basically like the timber is above the goat country. Okay. So all the goats are below us for the most part.
Unique.
Yeah. But to get back there, it's a lot more than just like landing a cub and
on
then,
top.
Yeah. And then hiking the alpine up to where the goats are.
Well, and you're in good shape, right? Because like we had trained before. And even this summer trained a bunch. You were up at Canonsburg, yeah. And we did some stuff up there, but like weighted hikes, getting ready for it, and generally you're just doing that anyways. So you were feeling pretty good.
Yeah. And I try to go into all those hunts like that, or at least like keep a decent baseline all year. Like this is the time of year where I'm probably in the worst shape.
Same.
Just because I'm sleep deprived, probably calorie deficient. The calories that I am getting are probably not, I know they're not the best. I'm trying to be better about that.
Not the organic, you know.
No, I'm trying to be better about that for sure. But like, if there's a time where I'm in my worst shape, it's October to December for sure. And it's not because of laziness, it's because of busyness. So, but that summer, like after the spring bear hunt, from that point until whatever the first fall hunt is when we're crunching in that effort. So
you came in good shape and you weren't too worried.
Yeah.
How'd you feel walking up?
Going up, it was fine. I didn't really, I guess, realize what made this area hard right away. And I think it wouldn't have been so bad if there was water there.
Which is why I brought the water.
About the water.
Yeah.
So physically demanding wise, compared to like the sheep hunt that I've done, or even some elk hunts, it's like not crazy physical. There's a couple sketchy moments, obviously, because you're goat hunting and it's steep, it's cliff and stuff, but nothing crazy. But when we went into that hunt, we had the boat, we had all of our gear in the boat, obviously, and we'd stash a bunch of food at the river. So if we're like, all right, we're finding goats on this side, we're seeing some on this side, we're gonna hunt here for 5 days, we'll go on this side afterward. We didn't want to take all of our food up there and be 85 pounds a person going up just to start. So we took 5 days worth of food, I want to say, largely freeze dried. And then, and then I had a full bladder and an Algene for water. Very quickly, I think like day one, we realized like, all these creeks that we were planning on are bone dry, like crispy dried, nothing.
Didn't I get a lot of rain there this summer?
I would assume not.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't been in that drainage in 10 years, so it could have been a creek that just aged out over time.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a seasonal thing or if it was just the last time they were there was water and now there's not. But, and to put some context to it, as we're going up, the river is down on the bottom, but it's 1,500 feet down and it's a wall, a literal wall. Like you can't go down to there for any reason to retrieve a goat, to get water, to nothing. Like there is no going down to that creek for a human, period, unless you have 1,500 feet of rope and climbing experience.
Can rappel down.
Either.
Yeah.
So, worked our way up, and almost immediately, like within the first mile, we're seeing tufts of white fur all over the prickers and in the pines and stuff. So very obvious that there's goats here. Probably the first mile and a half, we spotted some nannies and kids. And I think like day one, we were 15, 16 goats that we saw in total. Like it was a lot. So we were way, way optimistic, and kind of looking at this spot on a map, you can kind of see where this big draw would like dog leg to the right. And then it kind of straightened out into some really steep cliffy shit. And just knowing alpine animals, specifically with sheep, the rams are typically all the way at the head of the draw in the nastiest stuff, and you'll see the lambs and everything kind of scattered out, and the younger rams and stuff like that. So I kind of assumed,
outside to in.
Right. So I kind of assumed that billies worked the same way in that way, and we were mostly right. We did see some good billies kind of at that halfway mark, but across the river on the face on that other side.
Ungettable.
Yeah, the majority of the goats that we're seeing, I'd say 3/4 of the goats that we saw, we could not shoot and retrieve because it's on the other side of the river.
Yeah.
And it's so steep that if you shot them and they fell, they'd land in that river and be in Alaska by the time you get back to the boat. So it's not like you can do anything about it.
Right.
So, or you can risk it and try to anchor one there, go 5 miles back out and around, get in the boat, and then hike up into there. Hopefully you can get to them, just not
a day and a half later or
right,
whatever.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So we had to, quickly we kind of realized our water situation was tough, and that we have to find goats on our side of the river, and they have to be towards the top, because if they're anywhere near that rushing river in the bottom, they're gone.
This episode is also brought to you by 2O Gear, innovators in technical hunting clothing. 2O is a newer company. It's based right here in Michigan, and whether you're hunting elk in the mountains or chasing antelope in the plains or traipsing through swamps after that ruddy buck, 2O has you covered with premium jackets and pants, merino wool layers, everything you could possibly need to stay comfortable in the woods. Their products are engineered for functionality and durability, ensuring you stay protected in any conditions. Plus, their camo is really effective. We're big fans. So don't take our word for it, though. Go to 2ogear.com and check it out.